What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Big Roofs Podcast. I'm your host, John DeLaurier, and today I have Chuck Thokey with Top Rep. Chuck, thanks for coming.
Thanks, John. We're excited to be here. I've been waiting for this one for a long time.
Well, I'm excited. I know that before hit record, we chatted a little bit. Before I sold my roofing business, I was actually planning on coming to the Phoenix event. And we were fortunate to sell it earlier this year. So I did attend the Phoenix event and the Atlanta event, and they were both great events, but it was with ProLine. So everybody that I've talked to the sales reps have gotten a lot of value. So I hope that today, in this short podcast, that we can actually provide value and a lot of questions that people may have and mistakes that I have made. I hope that we can help our audience avoid making those mistakes like many contractors. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about three different things. The first one is new hire and onboarding process. We're going to talk about that. The second one is going to be your existing team, your existing sales team and the company culture and how to maybe right the ship, increase the close rate. And then the third one is going to be sales follow-up and how that looks, how you train it, how you train at Top Rep, and then how may a platform like ProLine may help with the sales follow-up as well. So let's get into the first one. Let's talk about new hiring. What is your perspective, Chuck, on you're hiring a new sales rep? What would you do first as an owner?
So first of all, before you hire new sales reps, you got to take a look at your process, your sales process. And people look at, oh, here comes the 10 step. And remember that these step selling systems, it's just to keep a sales rep in line with what they need to do next. That's it. If you don't, then they're going to forget to do certain things. They're going to forget to ask certain questions. Everything is based on whatever comes to mind as it's coming to mind. So if they don't have a system, they need to put that in place before they go spending all this money in hiring sales reps. And then the next thing is what expectations, what are they expecting from these sales reps? What are they expecting them to do? And it can't just be, well, we expect them to sell, because if that's the case, you're going to be stuck in this, 30, 40% close rate. And then, just like everybody's like, oh, the average close rate in exterior remodeling is 38%. I'm going to tell you that that's horrible. 38%. I feel that if you go out and you get leads, if you go out and do the marketing and bring it in, that you should be able to sell at least half of what you get. And I don't think that that's a real big ask, is to say, I think we should be able to close half of what comes in the company.
I love that. Actually, yeah. I love that we're sharing the expectation. Are you aware of Tom Reber? He has another podcast. He basically says the exact same thing you say. He was a painting contractor. He's an influencer. He's not really, it's kind of adjacent space to what we're in. But a lot of people kind of say that's impossible. You can't do that. Your price is too low. But, and I was in that same boat, guilty of that, okay, well, this is what the average is. I'm above average, but we never really hit that 50% or above 50%. We were, best case scenario, 41, 42%. But I will say this, as an owner, in the last 2 years of owning my business, realizing the customer acquisition cost, how expensive it is to acquire a customer. If your close rate is 33% versus 50%, it's drastic. So you may be wondering, why are we not profitable? Why do we not have any money at the end of the jobs? Because you're putting forth marketing efforts to get those leads, and you're only closing 1 out of 3. And I really love that perspective. Let's dive a little bit deeper into that from your perspective. What do you see? I know that's where we were. I think that we had one part of that puzzle solved, which is our platform. We had the sales follow-up part solved, but I was like many contractors. I was like, let's just ride along and let's go ride in the truck and do what I do. And didn't really have a sales process. I was really good at sales in general, but it's because I was the owner. I was cheating. It's like, of course, the customer is going to trust me a little bit more because my name's on the business and all those things. So talk to me about, from your perspective,
I'm glad that you mentioned this because we get this all the time. Like, well, Chuck, now I'm a closer and I just have a hard time teaching my reps. The reason why you're closing because you are the owner.
Yeah.
You know, people like to buy from the owner, but you can't send 10 sales reps out that claim they're the owner. That isn't going to work either. So we need to create a process where the sales reps can sell too. And we need to create a process that where it's not about the onesie twosies or the exception to the rule. We want to look at the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And so how can we, because we also know, because we've seen this and on very high priced organizations where some of these sales reps can close at 70, 75, 80%. Now, yes, they are the exception of the rule. I will tell you that they have a great process, but they also understand the homeowner. But you can't just take every sales rep out there and make them that type of closer. If anybody says that they can, I'm going to tell you that they've never done it. And here's the thing for me is we want to bring them in to where they can close half or just over half. That's what we want. And to do that we have the sales process. And that's what they need to bring in first is the sales process. And then the next thing that they're wanting to bring in is someone that understands the sales conversation. It's how to give the process. It's how to talk. It's how to present themselves to the homeowner. There's a lot that goes in to making a sales team, the training, and how to completely lay this out so that when they come out the other end, there's a reason why so many people that come to, if not all the people that come to Top Rep, when they leave, we get this all the time. Oh my gosh, they close everything they touch. It's because of how we teach it there. You know, we're going to make sure that they understand a process, but most importantly, it's how they say it and really understand the words per minute. Not that they're sitting there monitoring their own words per minute, but slowing down in the house. And then where do they put those pauses? What is their face saying? So that's the whole thing that we need to take a look at before they hire somebody. And then the 3 first weeks, the 3 weeks that they come in, that they can get to the point where they are competent. That's the first level of training is competent. The second level of training is mastery. So now we're going to put some emotion to it. You know, how can we know it? We know it so well that I can't get it wrong. Now I'm going to do, I like the 50 Cent, you know, my next presentation is going to be my best one, right? So we're going to put a little bit more emotion, not jazz hands, but a little bit more emotion as to I want them to believe me. You know, that there's this saying that we hear all the time that people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And Jim is big on that. And I understand why people say it. But if I were to tell a sales rep, hey, people buy from people they know, like, and trust, what do you think the sales rep's going to talk about? Themselves the whole time.
Yeah.
What do you think the homeowner doesn't care about? Them. And so what we say is that people buy from people they trust, believe, and remember. So now if I say, hey, you know, people buy from people they trust, believe, and remember, has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with my credibility, how I present that information so that it's believable, and what can I do to be memorable just in case I'm not able to sell it right there, that they remember me so well that they're going to be coming back to me. You know, so that's what we want to get across inside of mastery. And then we go pro. And pro just means now I know how to read the room. Because if I switch that and I says, okay, I'm going to teach you how to read the room first. Well, now they're not going to learn anything else because they want to shortcut everything because now they're so good at reading the room that they know exactly what this homeowner wants to hear and they shortcut everything to do it. And, you know, so there's a reason why we go through a certain process.
That's, I think that's highlighting. I felt very convicted of that last part because I think owners, we can read the room really well. Like we know what's going on. And so, we change our process based on the reading the room. And that's not sustainable. You cannot duplicate that over multiple sales reps because they don't have that skill set, they don't have the experience, and there's not having a process does not have predictability in their whole sales cycle. So I love that. I really do love that. So trust, believe, and remember. That's really, really awesome. That makes me think about a lot of things that drove me in my business, is because I always heard know, like, and trust as well. And you're totally right. The customer does not care about me or my company at all. And I think we need to highlight that a little bit more, because we continue to see, specifically in the roofing space or just exterior contractors, the way they brand, the way they drive their vehicles, where they park, what type of vehicles they have, how they dress, all these things. You have to set yourself aside. You cannot be thinking about yourself. Think about your ideal customer. If you don't think about your ideal customer in every aspect of your business, you will be less successful. You must position yourself before the close even starts, before the sales process even starts. You will be more successful if the colors of your brand, the way that you answer the phone, all these things are done well. Sales, we always talk about sales. The trust part starts way before the inspection even happens.
Yes.
And so I really do love that. So trust, believe, and remember.
Yeah.
What are some things kind of moving towards the existing sales reps or existing teams? What are some challenges that you see? So if somebody's listening, watching this right now, I just can't get my team to do this. Where's the like top, I don't know, 2-3 things that you see as people come to Top Rep, or just part of your training that like you have to reteach them and then kind of guide them? Because I have some ideas, but what do you see for existing teams having to kind of rectify that ship?
So what happens with your existing team members? It's just like when people come to Top Rep, we get a mix. We have a lot of people that are brand new. And one of the people, the guy that won Top Rep, it was his first day. He hadn't even started with the company.
I met him
with Maumee River out of Indiana, and they're a client of ours. People are like, "Oh, he won because it was his first day. He hasn't even been trained other than they're at Top Rep." So, they, first of all, congratulations to them. They hired the right person. But, there's a mix of people that we get there, but many of them, or most of them, have been doing this a long time. And what we hear are two things. That what they got out of this was the dogfights. I mean, me and Jim would obviously like to hear that they came and they got so much out of what we said. We don't hear that a lot, to tell you the truth. We coach, we train, but it's the dog fights where they get to use the information that they're being trained on, and they get to use that right there. And then they get to see 5 other people do the same thing. And so that's one thing. The other thing that we hear is, this really took me back to the basics, because they're so living up here, trying to figure out in the clouds, what am I doing right? What's working? They never ask themselves, what am I doing wrong? No, it's I tried this new thing out, which made me twice as lazy, by the way, but I tried this new thing out. It worked, so I'm going to go do it. But they never go back to the basics and find out why they did so well so early on. They keep telling themselves that times are changing. Times aren't changing. They are, but they're not. If you really want to find out what the best sales training is, it's still the sales training we've been doing over and over and over. It's like I had this morning, someone asked me like, "Hey, what is the best sales system out there?" It's whatever sales system you're using. And it's not a funny comeback. It's true. Because if you look at all the sales systems out there, they're all the same. We all label them different to stay out of copyright, but at the end of the day, we show up to the house on time. We have something to say when we knock on the door, and then we try to get to a kitchen table so that we can build some rapport. And from there, we're going to ask some questions. Now, that might be a little bit different based on whether you're going to use a questionnaire, which is more like an interrogation, or you have a set questions that you teach your reps to ask so that it's more of a conversation. And by the way, if it's not something that's on a sheet of paper, if it's more of a conversation, you're going to get more true answers. But then we're going to teach them how to do an actual inspection, whether you're doing windows, siding, baths, whatever, the roof. We're going to teach them how to do an inspection so that it's different than anybody else. And then ultimately, we're going to come back and we're going to go through a presentation and into a price presentation, a trial, close, then price presentation. And what we need to teach them and coach them is how to go through all that, because there's a process, but until you teach them how to say it, and at what speed, where to put certain pauses so that we can emphasize certain things, it's not manipulation, it's simple communication. Over the years, we just forget how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
If you left everybody alone, everybody would have their slang, their own way of saying certain things. But if you teach them the right way so that the homeowner picks up on it, that they understand it, and that now they don't feel like they're being told to make a decision, they're being asked to make a decision.
Yeah.
Here's how roofers make it home for dinner every single night without losing a single sale, even when they're one-man shows. Automate your communication with ProLine, the only communication-first CRM for roofers. Because when you fix your communication, you'll sell more jobs. Your weekends will smell more like sunscreen and backyard barbecues than that crappy gas station coffee. And all you got to do is ask these roofers.
Before we had about 200% growth, and I attribute that to incorporating ProLine.
But just with one automation, I was able to get 25 Google reviews.
It's been absolutely insane how quickly we were able to grow.
Now, ProLine's not going to win the beauty pageant, but it will save your Saturday. Now, back to the show.
I like that. So I've only heard a little bit about sales follow-up with what you guys do. Talk about sales follow-up, because I know it's so important. I've seen all the infographics on how few people follow up and the percentages, and in my experience, that's been the case. I mean, it's been a very difficult thing. People have emotions. Sales reps, our ProLine sales reps, they're amazing. James does training every single day with them, but he also talks about, and I understand this with meeting other sales reps in other industries, is that sales reps can be a little divas. They're on top of the world, and then the world's against them. And so there's a lot of emotion there. Even if a top rep trained sales rep goes through the process, everything's there, and they don't close them. What is your belief system? What are you teaching about sales follow-up, and how does that look?
So what we have found, and working with as many trainers, even because we like to find out what everybody else is seeing as well, and we share our findings with as many trainers that we work with. And what we have found is that only 10% of companies nationwide actually even do follow-up. If they don't close it there on the spot, then obviously the homeowner will give us a call back. That homeowner's not calling you back. And what we also find when we do follow up is, I'm so glad you called me back. We need to move forward. Well, they weren't going to call me. I had to call them to get them, because everybody's busy. And they're not thinking of their roof, siding, windows every second of the day. It's not, most of it isn't even on their to-do list. It's just something they're like, yeah, maybe someday I'll get those taken care of. So when we look at follow-up, it needs to be consistent. Everything that we do, consistency wins. If we just took everything inside of our organization and we were consistent with it, we would win every day. But we don't do that, because we get busy, other things happen, we react too much. And so if we consistently follow it up, well, there's only one way that you're going to consistently follow up. So you hire somebody, and that's their job.
Mm-hmm.
And when follow-up is their job, what you're going to see is that is one of the highest paid people in your organization, because they're dealing with people that you already sold on an appointment. You just haven't sold them on your product yet. Well, the fact that we've already been out and they're willing to take your phone call, they're willing to answer your questions, they can be closed. And so what we instruct many different ways of doing follow-up based on our coaching. Because again, we're coaches first, trainers second. So we're going to coach you based on what it is that you are able to do and want to do. There are some people where we will move that destroyer, completely turn it around. And when I say turning a destroyer around, doing an inside outside sales model is the best model. No one's going to tell me different, that an inside outside model is the best model. That is by far the best. The problem is it takes so much to turn your company around to where you're going to have an inside sales rep, not a CSM, but an inside sales rep and an outside sales rep, and they work together to close the deal. So really quick, that model, without getting too far in the weeds with it, is that inside sales rep sells the fact that that product or that that the homeowner, that's what they want to do, and that I'm going to send an outside sales rep out, and they're going to sell the outside sales rep. They're going to sell how great that person is. Now, when that outside sales rep gets there, they're going to sell the inside sales rep on how great that was, how great that interaction was. And then they're going to try and sell the job. But if they can't sell the job, they're not going to burn the house down, as we used to say back in the day. They're going to line it up for the inside sales rep again. So they're going to pass it back over so that the outside sales rep can always keep paying attention and they're always forward facing. The inside sales rep, they're the ones that deal with the pool of homeowners that haven't done business with us yet. They're sitting in a cubicle, an office, whatever, and they're working hard, and that's the only thing they do. Don't take an office personnel and make them an inside sales rep. That person is the only thing that they do. Same thing is if you are going to go the sales liaison route. Now, a sales liaison, what this is where you have the typical sales process. You have a CSM, they set up the appointment, the outside rep goes out. And again, if that outside sales rep can't sell the job, then it goes to the sales liaison that follows up and tries to close it. Now, people might say, well, what's the difference? Well, this is a rehash department, and they're just going to take that job, and the home or the sales rep doesn't have to worry about it anymore. That the rehash department is just going to take the job and start working it, and then a rehash rep goes out and sells it. So it's a different team. It's a different department that it goes to. So again, there's a lot depending on us. An organization will depend on how we instruct them to follow up. Now, there's the smaller organizations that they don't have that set up. So now a sales rep, and I'm trying not to laugh, a sales rep will actually follow up. They're not going to, but we do instruct them to, and we try to automate using ProLine. We can automate a lot of that follow-up. We can automate when that text goes out. And again, as long as somebody is updating the CRM, the right text will go out. If a job sells, obviously there's different text that'll go out, rather than it didn't sell and now we're, follow-up text going out. And so, that is something that the CRM becomes the hero, because we all know a sales rep will cherry pick their follow-ups. And I also, everybody out there that are listening to this and watching this right now, you're going to laugh when I say this, that the one person or the people that you don't think will call you back, those are the ones that are going to call you back.
1,000%.
That one lady, you're like, man, that lady hated me. She'll never call me.
Right.
She's calling next week, by the way.
That's right.
And then one that you had hopium on, that, oh man, that was such a good, they sold you.
You go tell your wife, and your wife's like, yeah, right. Yeah. My wife has known a long time ago. I'll see it when it's in the bank. I'm like,
that's
okay.
right.
Yeah. That's so funny. Going back to, the pro level, I can read the room. Well, that you're vulnerable at that point for the emotional side of things. Like I'm saying, sales reps are very emotional, and you're exactly right. Like your feelings don't really matter. The number of times that we sold people that I thought would never sell, and the number of times exactly your exact illustration is like, oh, we got this one. This is a $50,000 roof. We got this one. and nothing. And we did our same process, or we let our emotions get the better of us and we didn't follow up like we're supposed to. And then they're like, oh, I was waiting for you to call on just this other guy, my neighbor did it. And then it's over. It's very true. So I started out as obviously one man show. And then as I grew I was still pretty small company, but I did have the inside outside sales rep model. And that when we did that, it was phenomenal. It was like life changing. And so and I was like very specific. I understood my SOPs. I didn't want to hire a receptionist that just did sales. I wanted to have a process. And, I didn't go through top rep training or talk to you, but we did exactly what you said, is that the inside sales would sell the outside sales rep and vice versa. And it was working together like that was just it was a better customer experience, because the customer's like, oh, these people love each other. And they did. They loved working together. And they both benefited. Their days were better. They had less frustrating conversations. It's not just about the commission and the money and all. There's something to be said about, people don't talk about this enough, where I always want my day to be as good as it can be, my week, my month, my quarter, my year, all those things. It's not just the money part. It's the experience of that day. And a lot of it has to do with having a sales process, having a follow-up process, having everything automated so that I don't have to do the mundane things. It all works together, and it's not easy. You can't just say, this is just a sales thing. It's the whole business of home services. You have to do all of those things together so that your team is happier. I attracted people. I didn't actually have to hire people or put out LinkedIn job. I just, people came to me because, and I had really great people too, because we had a great brand and a great process. In fact, really quick story. I had a sales rep about 6 years ago. He worked for me for 2 years. We didn't have anything in place. It was terrible. It was no training, anything. He's like, I want to be a teacher. He did really well. He sold $1 million his first year with no training. I was like, all right, what are you doing? Why are you going to be a teacher? So he loves kids. He was a foster dad. All those things were great. He's a teacher for 4 years, and he's like, I got to make money. So he came back and worked for me, and we had built ProLine at that point. And he's like, you did everything you wanted to do. Like, the process is here. All those things are here from all those business side of things that we talked about 6 years ago. And he was just so much happier working with us, because he's like, I don't have to do all these. I can go have dinner with my family. I don't have to work at the weekends every weekend. Like, he was a super hard worker. And that just shows the importance of having the comprehensive part of your business together. That the sales are very important. Having a sales process is very important, but understanding the day and the week of each one of your team members is really important as well.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much that goes into follow up. We keep it as simple as possible. Everything that we teach and coach on, we keep as simple as possible. Trainers over the years have made things so complicated because they want you to need them. And we break all that down. So many of the clients, when it comes to like roofers, we have hundreds and hundreds of roofers as clients, and they come in, they're like, you make things so easy. It's like you break everything apart, and then we only use the easy parts. It's only because trainers have made it so complicated where you have to keep coming back to them month after month after month. And once we make it easy so that the sales reps can make it duplicatable, it's not that the company can make it duplicatable. We want the sales rep to make it duplicatable for themselves and see just how easy. Just same thing as our closing roadmap. We've had many people that have taken that roadmap, and they're like, it's like a quarter of what I've been taught over the years. It's like that because of what you've been taught are gimmicks and goofy things that don't even matter. Now that we have, and we keep saying this, but now that we have all these recordings and we have all the data that's available to us, we now understand what works, what doesn't work, what was fluff, what was just standing in your way. of being successful. But people have gotten so lazy that they've not just made it easy, they made it so it doesn't work anymore. So, we have put all that back in. Same thing with follow-up is we lay out the system depending on what their company needs, whether it is the inside outside, it's the sales liaison, or we're going to teach the sales reps how to follow up. We have everything laid out. We have the emails that need to go out, the emails that have been successful over 20 years. It's not, hey, this email has been really good over the last 2 days, so we're going to keep it going. No, these are things, the emails, the texts and stuff like that have been working, over years of testing to see which one actually comes back. We were just talking about Chris Voss. I mean, his message that he sends out is still the most successful message in home improvement, which is, and it's just a one line. So Bob, have you given up on your roofing project? That is still the most successful text message in home improvement.
We track that. So we talked about Chris Voss because a lot of the templates that are built in ProLine's automations are from Never Split the Difference, his book. And that exact text is hilarious because it is the most successful one. And I don't know why, I don't forget which sequence it is. It's obviously not the very first one, but it's so successful. It's incredibly, I mean, we built every single template. AJ and I spent over a year testing those. Like, the email looks different than the text, but they'd come out at the same time. Okay, do we do it different times of the day? All those things matter because we want the most engagement in the shortest period of time as well. But yeah, it's very important to know exactly what to say. A lot of the automation tools, like, they're like, hey, here's a suggestion of when to do an automation. Like, well, what do you say? Like, what are the words that you put? And we built them all immediately out of the box. You don't have to do anything. We do suggest that people, maybe put some like vernacular that they would not use or use in some of the automations. But in general, we want to your point, empower the sales rep. We really built ProLine's whole system off of phone. You're on your phone all the time. So you're on your phone. What do you do? How do you follow up? Every phone call is recorded. So the inside outside sales reps, they didn't have to talk to each other. They would just listen to the other person's conversation that's been recorded. That happened to me. The first time it happened, I was like, what's happening right now? How do you know this?
Yeah.
It was like, and Kathleen was like, oh yeah, because I listened to your phone conversation. And now it's transcript. Like, now it's transcribed and AI does it all. So now that they can just read okay, that's what's happening. Actionable things that have to happen from the phone conversation. So it's even more efficient. Then everybody can see everyone's text message, everyone's email. If you're assigned to that project, whether it's sold or not, I wanted everyone on our team to be on the same page without having these redundant conversations. Hey, what happened with Miss Smith? I mean, that's pointless things. You should not be doing that. Clarity with your entire team. Having the systems and all together are great. But if you have to ask each other what's going on all the time, that was wasting hours and hours and hours every single day.
Yes.
I really appreciate you coming on today. I want to highlight, because I know that we talked about a lot of really helpful things that sales reps need to know. The event in February,
Yes.
16th and 17th, Myrtle Beach. I went to your website today. I was like, sweet, another event.
Yep.
Tell me about that. What's going on? What can people expect at Top Rep?
So first and foremost, when you come to Top Rep, you're going to learn more than just the sales process. One of the first things that we jump into is mindset. We really want to help everybody to be not only a better human, but to understand where your head needs to be a champion inside of this industry. And you really are an athlete, and all athletes that understand how good they can be, it's where their head feels they can be. So we're going to teach mindset first. Then we get into that sales conversation, how to talk. We're going to cover that. And then right after that, then we start in on the sales process. And what does a sales process look like? We make it easy to understand. We don't talk in code or anything like that. We make it very easy to understand. And so as we go through those 2 days, there's going to be 6 different, what we call dogfights. That's just role plays. And so when they get into those role plays, there's going to be them and 5 other people, and they're going to listen and to 2 of them going back and forth. And what we want them to do is to learn. We don't want them to compete so much that they're not listening. Yeah, yes, this is a competition and everybody scores each other, but that's only because we're competitive people. And when we're competitive, then we actually, excuse my French, but we give a shit, And so we want them to care about what's going on. We want them to put their best foot forward. But most importantly, we want them to listen to what other people are doing. And as they do that, there's going to be certain people like, man, if I ever went up against this person, I'd kill him. But then there's others where it's like, man, if I ever had to go up against her, man, she would absolutely dominate. I would have to change careers. She's so good. You'll see that as you go along because you'll be in different groups 6 different times. And so when you get out of this, we've had many people even be skeptical when they come in. This last one, we had 2 guys that came in and they were very, very skeptical. They're like, well, I mean, I've done this before. I really hope this is worth my time. And I'm just smiling from ear to ear. I'm like, you know what? I want to find out what the 2 of them say after this. And both of them were like, we've never seen anything like this. This is not only is it life changing, but when we get back to the office, and they were both different companies, but when we get back to the office, we have so much to work on. And we really brought the basics. So when you look at it and say, man, we have so much to work on, then that organization has a lot to work on, not just those reps. So, but it's A to Z. We don't leave anything on the table. We're going to make sure that everything that can happen in that house and then how to deal with it.
I love it. I love it. I mean, again, I've been as a vendor to 2 of the events this year. And you can tell the energy. Of course, we're out in the vendor area, but we peek our head in the door and you watch the magic happen in those dogfights. You're like, this is, I literally think to myself, I wish I had this when I should have done this. And you can see the conversations as they're coming out the door. They're changing their mindset. They're changing. They have a skill now. They have a certain process they're going through. It really is a very valuable just life tool in general. If you want to be a sales professional. And so I definitely recommend, again, it's if I'm remembering correctly, February 16th and 17th, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Yep.
Is it topreptraining.com? Is that right?
It is topreptraining.com, and you can get all the information, and it should be taking attendees right now.
Nice.
We've already signed a couple of companies up going in, and these companies, it'll be their 4th time, both of them have already signed up. It'll be their 4th time coming back. And every time they go in, I even asked him, I says, hey, it's not cheap to go. What is it that makes you decide to do this? And it says our close rate keeps going up or really raising back to where we need it to. Because some organizations, they're really good at taking and holding their reps accountable after leaving Top Rep, and there's other organizations that the leadership isn't as strong as it should be, and it kind of goes off after a couple of months, and then they come back to Top Rep and they get back again.
That makes total sense. Total sense. Well, that's super exciting. Chuck, I really appreciate you coming on. I think that what you do is of huge value to the industry. And I'm glad you came on Big Roofs today. And everybody else, thanks for watching, listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, John.